Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about Ceres in the ninth house in a natal chart. Now, Ceres in astrology can be connected with how one may nurture and care, but it may also be associated with how one may desire to be nurtured and cared for. Now, given this is the ninth house, the sector of life, it shows the areas where we may nurture. Now, given we're talking about the ninth house, the people that have this placement may very strongly nurture their in-laws, their grandchildren, even foreigners. This could be, it could even be matters with publishing. Say if this is in the zodiac sign Cancer, that may be done with a lot of dedication and devotion and unequivocal love, and could be even might really emphasize nurturing because Cancer is the sign associated with that. And it could be a person, as far as publishing goes, is very it takes a lot of care in whatever it is they publish. Say if it's in Virgo, it could be caring with a lot of meticulous attention to detail. Now, also too, this is a person that might also nurture and care for their higher education needs, matters with advertising, and also in the people, if they are part of some religious congregation at their church, this is a person that might show a lot of TLC and a lot of caring energy in that part of their life. So anyway, well, Ceres in astrology can also be associated with dissipated or depleted self-worth or self-esteem. Now, given that this is the ninth house, it could be in matters with in-laws or grandchildren. Say if this is an Aries, it could be attributed perhaps to contentious or acrimonious situations with those people. It could be matters with college or higher education, whether it could be lack of, or it could be not getting the opportunity at the right college they thought they met the credentials for, as an example. It could be over philosophical issues. Say if this is an Aquarius, it could be somebody that has very really unorthodox or unique or very bizarre, philosophies about things, and there might be some situations that become contentious with others as a result, where this person is condemned for them, as an example. It could be over religious matters or people at their congregation, at their religious congregation that they may belong to. It could also be over abstract thinking. It could be whether it might be limitations in that, not being able to think in the abstract, or not even, or maybe even in terms of expanding horizons, not being able to do so. Say if this is in the zodiac sign Capricorn, this could be a person that might be experiencing some really limitations in connection with that. I have Capricorn on the cusp of my ninth house, so this is so I understand about the restrictions and limitations in terms of expanding horizons and going outside the box, so to speak. Now, Ceres in astrology can also be associated with eating issues or disorders or issues that are associated with eating and food. Now, given that this is, we're talking about the ninth house, this could be something that you might even talk about through global communications, or it could be something connected with publishing. You might be writing a book that's associated with it, whether you had firsthand experience on it, or whether you're just somebody that's very cognizant and very knowledgeable about the issue. It could also be maybe there could be some situations with grandchildren or in-laws that are causing some issues with you, and it might be, maybe whether it's causing problems with eating in terms of not eating enough due to worry, and you're develop, could isolate cases you may develop an eating disorder because of that. Maybe it's something where it might even be connected with traveling abroad. Say if you have some kind of eating issue or eating disorder, that it might impact in terms of your traveling more so than usual. Remember that Ceres in astrology can be connected with food in the stomach as well. So it could be somebody that has stomach issues when they're traveling abroad. Say if it's in Scorpio, for example, it might be some constipation issues, not trying to be overly graphic, but just being factual. Say you got like a fire sign like Aries or Leo, it might be some dehydration issues because fire can sometimes negate, the water, basically. So if you have, like, say if Ceres is in a fire sign, and it could be over, depleted, water, amounts in your body, and dehydration. There could be some, issues, maybe some pain in the stomach, and when traveling abroad because of that. So, as an example. Now, anyway, Ceres in astrology can also be associated with raising children. Now, if you're somebody that's a parent and you are raising children, it could be one where you're really preaching to expand horizons. You might really be preaching to them literally as well, because it could be one where you might be raising them to be very religious, and, just guard against being, as far as indoctrination and forcibly trying to get people to go buy into your, beliefs if they're not always willing to, to buy into it. So, I mean, those are some things, to look at as far as this goes. But the thing is, too, you may also raise your children and as far as encouraging abstract thinking and expanding horizons, and also in matters with the law and justice. You might be somebody that really teaches your children to be very knowledgeable about the law and doing things that are lawful, and not to do something that goes against or contradicts what the law may indicate. Now, also, too, and it may be something too where you might also encourage children to further their education. And if you are married a second time, if you are in a second marriage, it's possible that the person in your second marriage might figure very prominently in your raising children, in contrast to the one in the first marriage, because the second house, the ninth house, can be associated with that. And it might even be in some cases where you might even be raising them in a foreign country, in some instances. So, anyway. Now, Ceres in astrology can also be associated with where one may be coerced or forcibly taken against one's will. In other words, it can be associated with kidnappings and abductions. Now, given this is the ninth house in some cases, now most people are not abducted in their lifetime, but in the isolated cases where it may transpire, it may be in a foreign country. Say if this is in Scorpio, it might be done in a rather surreptitious manner, and it might be more nefarious energy in connection with it. It might be something that may be communicated globally, since we are talking about the ninth house in astrology, and it might be something that might somehow have a strong impact on one's religion. And you probably figure, well, how could that happen? Well, say if somebody is abducted and it's a life-threatening situation, it's perilous, but they somehow get out of it and they survive. It might be somebody that transforms their their outlook in terms of God, and might become more religious as a result of that experience. And it could also be in some cases on a college campus, since we are talking about the ninth house, or maybe even at a publishing venue as well. So anyway, well, Ceres in astrology can also be connected with family connections. Now, some cases you might feel that your family might seem foreign to you, figuratively speaking. I mean, say if this is an Aquarius, there might be some emotional detachment as well. But also, since we're talking about the ninth house of Sagittarius, you might see your family as well as being very jocular, very jovial. It could be very sports-minded as well. But one where religion may be preached very consistently as well, and where you have a lot of philosophical beliefs that might be expressed frequently. But it could also be a family where you preach to each other, encourage each other to expand horizons and don't be stagnant or stationary. Basically, encourage each other to go outside the box, so to speak. But you might have a lot of family. It could be a case where you may have some family members that are actually, of some, different, whether it's a different background, or it could be, multiple whether it's religious backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds. It could be where maybe some of them are, or one or more may reside in a foreign country as well. So, and there might be, anyway. Ceres in astrology can also be associated with dejection, sorrow, and disappointment. Now, if in the case where you may actually marry a second time, it may be connected with the second marriage. It could be, I mean, say if this is in Capricorn, it could have more despondent energy in association with it. Now, it could be over matters with publishing, whether something is that you attempt to publish may be restricted, or you might feel, it could be something that somebody else publishes about you that could be slanderous. Say if this is in Pisces, it might be something that's very fallacious or slanderous in some cases, or say if this is making an adverse aspect to Neptune as an example. Now, also too, it might be something where you might experience some despondency in matters with in-laws and grandchildren as well, whether it's a contentious situation or whether you didn't maybe get to spend enough time with them, whatever it may be. There might be a lot of sadness in connection with those relationships. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, Ceres in astrology can also be associated with protection and protective energy. Now, given that this is the ninth house, it could be a situation where one may be very protective of their in-laws, their grandchildren. Say if this is in Taurus, it might even be, they might be very possessive of them as well. Scorpio can be even more controlling. But say it could also be somebody that's very protective of their people if they're at a religious congregation, or if they're friendly with people at a college, university. It could be where they protect themselves if they're at a college, university, if they're in a bad environment or bad area in that section. It could be somebody that is really, could be on guard in those areas, and even through foreign travel as well. This could be a person that might equip themselves in terms of taking all the precautions that they need in terms of their credit card use or what have you, and also over publishing matters as well. This could be a person that is very prudent and cautious regarding copywriting and as far as publishing goes, and whether even if they're publishing something, say to YouTube, they could might be somebody that is always taking their precautions in terms of disclaimers, and even matters with global communications in general. Now, Ceres in astrology can also be connected with clothing. Now, it could be in some isolated cases you may be in an import-exporting business involving clothing. It could be something where you may be advertising clothing a lot. It could be where you're selling them, for like a yard sale frequently or what have you, or if you're in some kind of business associated with clothing, it might be involved with publishing, whether you may be writing about clothing or something or some matter that's associated with clothing. It might be something that you may at some point publish, but it could also be as well. The ninth house is also connected with foreigners. It might be something where you're very philanthropic in matters with clothing, and you might be shipping them clothes that you don't need to people that might be in a foreign region. And also the second, remember, the ninth house can be the second marriage. So if you are married and this is the second time, it could be where you might be strongly influenced by that marriage partner as far as clothing may go. And say if this is in Leo, it could be very like flamboyant, ostentatious clothing. Now, and also too, remember the ninth house is also associated with higher education, so it could be where you might be really dressing to the T. If you're involved in if you're going, like you're at a college, university, you might be somebody that's always dressing maybe to impress those people at the college, university, or maybe people at the college, university that well and have a rapport with are influencing you in terms of what you really need to be wearing. So anyway, well, Ceres in astrology can also be connected with what one may obliterate in order to restore what one may have previously had. Now, given this is the ninth house, and as an example, this could be a situation where one may simply eradicate maybe their religion in some cases in order to restore the rapport and connection with in-laws and with grandchildren. Say if this is an Aquarius, it could be an unorthodox kind of religion or even philosophical outlook in order to restore the connection with their in-laws and grandchildren, and really and be very, altruistic in matters connected with them. And so anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.